Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I like it when you talk back. How's everybody feeling today? All right. And you know what? Earlier, when Bart mentioned that I attended Clemson University, I think I heard some spontaneous Clemson Tiger love. Did I hear that? Go Tigers. Okay. Negative. Okay. I know I have been living in Georgia for a little over 20 years, and I've had the great fortune of speaking to a lot of different audiences, and I've always had trouble finding my Clemson Tiger fans in the state of Georgia. So what's up with that? Oh, don't leave. I'm a Tiger dog, okay? I'm a Tiger dog. Because as Bart mentioned, I did graduate. I did my doctorate here. So go dogs as well. Yay. Okay, there's the love. Yes. So thank you all. It is such a pleasure for me to be here with you today to talk about a topic that is really important: how to grow and scale up your business. And when I think about growth, I think about change. And whenever we talk about change, we really have to acknowledge that there's always some resistance to change. Am I right? You know, a few years ago, I hit a milestone birthday. I'm not going to tell you which one. Yes, you got it. A milestone birthday. And as I was approaching that milestone birthday, I thought, well, you know, because I used to run track for Clemson University. You know, I ran the hurdles and the relays. And so at one point in my life, I was really in shape. And so I thought, well, what better time for me to try to reconnect with the athleticism in me and really try to get back in the gym. And I got a personal trainer, and I was jogging on the treadmill, lifting weights. I was really doing my thing. And one morning, after several weeks of this activity, one morning I woke up in excruciating pain to the extent that I passed out. And my husband had to rush me to the emergency room. And after a lot of tests and everything, they discovered that I had a pinched nerve, and it was causing that significant pain and caused me to lose activity and strength, about 90% of the strength on the right side of my upper body. So, you know, I'm sitting here listening to these doctors explain with all of their medical terminology what was going on in my body. But then my father called. And how many of us know our parents know how to keep it real? He called and he said, Tina, you have been trying to do a 20-year-old workout in a body that's 40 plus. He said, so you need to slow down. And so I thought about that, and I said, you know, he's got a point. I'm doing this rigorous working out and everything, but so mentally, I'm ready for the change. But physically, my body was like, no, we're not ready for this. We don't really want to do this. So sometimes there's resistance to change. Even when we mentally want to go after it, we encounter some obstacles, right? Change can be messy. Change is not always easy, but if we're going to grow, we absolutely must change. Someone famously stated, the only person who likes change is a wet baby. Would you agree? A wet baby definitely wants to be changed, and they want to be changed immediately, or they will make life pretty miserable for everyone around them, correct? So I know we don't have any wet babies in here, but if you are desiring to grow and scale up your business, yet you lack the proper amount of strategic planning, forecasting, funding, making sure you have the right infrastructure, technology systems, and the right people in the right places on your team, then it's going to be really difficult to grow and change in the way that you want to. And your business will remain in an infantile, baby-like stage. And I don't know about you, but no one really likes being around a stinky, wet baby, correct? So we want to investigate and understand today how we might tap into innovation and design thinking and look internally at our operations the infrastructure, and everything we need to give particular attention to ensure that we're ready for growth. How many of you would like to double or maybe even triple your revenue before the end of first quarter 2020? Would that be nice? Oh, yes. Yes, we would love that. But what impact would that have on your people, on your systems? Would you be able to scale with the same degree of quality that you have today? Or would you end up with unhappy customers? So we want to make sure that we're ready for the growth, we're ready to scale up our business, and that we've done the proper analysis to ensure that we wouldn't overwhelm our systems should we begin to double, triple our revenue. So as we move forward, it's moving forward here, but it's not moving forward there. Okay. So as Bart is taking care of that, I want to call your attention to just before World War II. You don't have to raise your hand. I don't think anybody was here for that. But just before World War II, there were hamburger establishments popping up all over the country. It was nothing new. But immediately after World War II, these hamburger establishments started popping up in major cities on the street corners. There was one in particular that has arches for a logo. How many of you know the company I'm talking about? And you know, they produced the same product. They produced a hamburger, but they did something very differently. They applied advanced management practices to making this hamburger. In fact, they began to analyze the entire process for making that hamburger to ensure that there was consistency, there was reliability. Every bun, every piece of meat, every pickle, every onion was made in precisely the same manner, the same time period, so they could predict the type of product they were going to ultimately make. In fact, they also started inventing these tools that would enable them to have a more consistent and reliable process, which would give them the product that they were seeking for their customers. They also tapped into the voice of the customer. They found out from their customers what the customers consider value. And then they built standards around those values that the customer wanted. They wanted a clean, friendly service. They wanted it quickly. Fast food, that's where that came from. They really wanted that value as a customer coming to that establishment. So that organization, McDonald's, they created standards around what the customer wanted, and then they trained their employees to be able to deliver to those standards. And then they included systems and processes that really incentivized the workers to meet those standards. Those were pretty advanced management concepts and practices for that time period. But as you can see, it's really what set them apart and allowed them to be able to scale nationally and now even globally. And so Peter Drucker, who's one of the most noted thought leaders when it comes to business, he stated that management practices are really essential, more so for the small entrepreneurial size business, more so than for large corporations. In fact, he also said management is the new technology that is making the American economy into an entrepreneurial economy. He said it's also about to make America into an entrepreneurial society. Now, he authored this book about 35 years ago is when he stated this in the book. And where are we today? We are in an environment where entrepreneurialism is alive and well, and those who have advanced management practices are able to really scale and grow their businesses quickly. So fast forward to a modern day thought leader, professor, author, speaker, consultant in the business world, he stated that companies that thrive the next decade and beyond are the companies that evolve their management models faster than their competitors and in ways that make them more adaptable, more agile, more creative and innovative, and more engaging places to work. Because you see, we are really living in an era of an accelerated pace of change. Things are changing faster now than we can really keep up. If you don't believe that, just talk to a teenager and see what's the latest app they're using for social media. We're all still on Facebook and they're using something called TikTok, and I never even heard of that. I have teenage daughters, by the way, so they keep me apprised of what's going on in that world. So things are really changing at an accelerated pace, but how do we keep up in terms of our products and our services that we're offering to the marketplace? Because as Dr. Hamill is pointing out, if we want to keep up with the pace of change, we're going to have to be innovative. Innovation is what's really going to instigate the growth in your organization that you're really seeking. What we're going to talk about today is a process and a methodology that can help you implement innovation within your organization, and it's called design thinking. So let's look a little bit more closely at what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about innovation, what it is, and what holds you back in terms of being innovative in your industry, in your company. And we're going to talk about how you might utilize the process, the 5 stages of design thinking, to innovate within your business. And then we're going to talk about a culture of collaboration, because the culture of your organization, going back to what Dr. Hamill said, we have to create these engaging workplaces where people want to show up every day on time, ready to be productive, ready to give you and your organization the gift of their initiative, their creativity, and their discretionary effort. What is discretionary effort? We really want that from those who are working with us and for us. That discretionary effort is they're going above and beyond without you having to stand over them and watch them and tell them. They're coming to you with greater ideas for how we can do what we're doing more effectively, more efficiently. They're applying that discretionary effort. When they go home at night, they're thinking, you know what, if there's a better way I can do my job, there's a better way I can deliver this service to our customers. That's discretionary effort. We don't really necessarily want people who are watching the clock and at 4:59, they're packing up their things ready to go. We want them to be so engaged that they lose track of time. So in order to create an environment for innovation that's suitable for innovation and design thinking, we really have to create a culture of collaboration. And so we're going to spend some time today talking about what's involved in really creating a culture of collaboration. And then finally, because I'm not going to do all of the talking today, I really want you to participate because we can learn so much from each other. And I'm a type of facilitator who I'm primarily interested not so much in knowledge acquisition. Are you going to acquire some knowledge and information today that will be helpful? Absolutely. But I'm more interested in knowledge application. I want you to walk away today with an action plan. What are you going to do tomorrow to implement some of what you learned today? I want you to have a strategy and a go-forward plan to really put this in action, because that way you will ensure that your time here today has been worth it. Is that okay with everyone? Yes. We're all on board? Yes. Excellent. So what does it really mean to scale your business, and how do you know if your business is scalable or not, and if you're ready to scale? We've talked about what's necessary to scale your business. You have to have a strategy. You have to forecast and take a look at what you believe you're going to be able to bring in terms of sales and revenue. And you have to have the right systems in place, the technology systems, the human resources systems, order tracking systems, How are we reconciling everything and making sure that our customers, our clients are satisfied or overly joyed with our final product and our final services? We want to make sure that we have the right people, that our supervisors have the right supervisory skills, that we as owners and leaders of our organization, that we're really leading in ways that will engage and create engaging workplaces for those who seek to work with us and for us. So those are some of the elements of what it takes to scale your business. But let's take a look at a couple of examples and see, are these businesses really scalable or not? I want to get your opinion, so here we go. Tamika is a silk screen artist who designs unique wall hangings from fabric swatches and other found objects. They are elegant and handsome. She sells them for $100 to $500, depending on their size and the materials used to make each one. What do you think? Is it scalable or not? Yes. Yes, it is. I hear some yeses. And the answer is yes. How is it scalable? Well, she could use her designs to create other accessories or disposable paper products such as napkins and plates and note cards. She could also expand her business by using the internet to sell her products as well as others' products. Because certainly if she has a great product, she may know some other people that are selling similar products, and they all probably need a platform to be able to sell their products. For example, Etsy. Etsy started with 3 men in an apartment in New York. And now, as of December 31st, 2018, it's an online artisanal marketplace, and they've grown to 2.1 million sellers and 39.4 million buyers. And it started with 3 men in an apartment. So it's definitely scalable. Let's take a look at another example. Harriet.
I have a question.
Yes.
Etsy, and recently ordered some on Etsy from a person like Tamika, and they create unique designs.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a disclaimer that says he's 3 months behind. So if you order, because his stuff is made to order, and one famous person recommended him. So now he has an extreme amount of demand. So, and he is the person, right? Tamika is the person.
Mm-hmm.
So scaling at her size is possible. Like, I'm looking at this guy saying he can't really handle the demand because it's just him. So would Tamika have to show people how to do what she does?
Absolutely. She could train other people how to make similar designs and then put quality control processes in place to make sure that it actually looks like a design that she would want on her brand. So yes, there is a way that she could scale that. Yes?
But along with what she's saying though, in some businesses, you want to show a 3-month, that's part of your scaling, is showing that it's going to take 3 months to get your design. Because for some people, it's a big razzle-dazzle, like, oh my God, I'm getting something that, is going to be unique to me. I know purses is a good example. Like to order a certain purse, and it takes 6 months to a year before you get her boots.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do that just to kind of, be able to raise the price in that anticipation for the product.
Right.
So is that also a form of scaling? I'm sorry, I mean to ask.
That might be a part of their business model. So that's why it's important to have a strategy. Is your strategy going to be, we want to make as many of these custom products as possible and get them out to everyone in the world? Or do we want to keep it small, boutique-like, so that it does take 3 months and people feel really special that they're getting our product, even though it takes 3 months? So you have to decide what is the mission, what is the strategy of your organization, and then build your systems around that strategy. That's why if you're going to scale, it's a great time to revisit the strategy of your company and see, is that a model that really is suitable for you now in terms of where you desire to take your business, and then create a strategy that will support it. So, for example, in my company, as of this day and point, I'm the primary facilitator, instructional designer, but we're growing, and we're growing at a rapid pace. So as of today, we are hiring instructional designers. I am going to teach them how to design in a way that I wouldn't mind having the capstone logo on whatever product they design if I'm going to scale. And my strategy is to scale my business. But I can't do that if I stay in a solo, remember, the wet baby and infant's house stage. If it's me and me only, I'm not going to be able to scale. But I do want to scale, so I recognize I'm going to have to bring the right people onto my team and train them, create those quality standards. Let's go back to the McDonald's example. You find out what's important to your clients, and then you set standards around that. And then you train your team on how to meet those standards and put incentives in place for them to be able to meet those standards. So they'll be motivated to continue working towards that. Excellent question, thank you. So let's look at Harriet. Harriet opened a referral service for elder care aides. She hires and trains them, then offers their services through the local hospital and other health care agencies. Is that scalable or not? Why is it scalable, in your opinion?
Because she has a system in place that she's not the only person. She trains people and then put them, disperse them, so it can be like Uber.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. Yes, it is scalable. She could hire and train more elder care workers and even hire people to do the training while she continues to expand the avenues where their services are offered. You may have heard of Care.com. They are now the market leader in providing referral services for elderly care, child care, pet care, tutoring services, any kind of service you need. And now they're serving more than 34 million members in more than 20 countries. But it was one woman who had trouble taking care of her elderly parents and taking care of her children. And she came up with this concept. So it started off as just her looking for and finding and referring child care and elderly care. And now I believe she just sold her company. And they have 34 million members. Now, the challenge here is because there was some news, some controversy in the news recently about this service, that some of the child care providers were not really licensed that she had on her website. But that is another problem with scaling your business. With 34 million members, those processes that she had in place when it was just her and maybe 10 care providers, you can't use those same processes when you have 34 million members. So your processes have to grow and evolve to be able to handle this new additional volume. The farther away we as business owners get from the primary service offering or product offering, we have to ensure that those quality processes are in place because it still has her brand on it. So now as a parent, reading that article, I would be hesitant to use the service. But it's because they grew and they grew rapidly and obviously needed some more assistance. They needed Capstone to come in there and help them scale properly to ensure that they had quality control processes in place. Bart mentioned to you all earlier that my undergraduate degree is in industrial engineering, and I spent the first 8 years of my career working as a quality engineer, supplier quality and process quality. And so quality is really important to me, and I understand that as you scale, you still have to be able to offer the same quality service that people became accustomed to when it was just you and 2 other people. They want the same quality service. They don't care that you have 50 new clients. They still want that customized service and feel as if they're getting a high quality service from you. And so that's how we're going to approach our conversation today. So let's transition into innovation, because if we're really going to differentiate our services and products, then we're going to have to think ahead of our competitors, which means we constantly have to refresh, renew, and create. And it's not just up to you as the owner of the company. Everyone in your organization should be innovating and thinking creatively each and every day. So what is innovation? If you had to write a definition for Merriam-Webster, what would you say? What is innovation?
Is to take an established product or service and improve upon it for a reason.
Okay, to take an existing product or service and make incremental improvements to it. So that is one form of innovation, absolutely, yes. Thinking outside of the box, absolutely.
To improve, renew, change, value creation.
Are you serious? I didn't know you had my slides already. I typically don't do that. That is correct. You're brilliant, sir. So the Latin root of this means to renew or change, absolutely. And then we want to improve and we want to create value. And it has to be relevant to the end user. And it has to, before it meets the end user, it's just an idea. It's not a solution until your customer, your client has it and they see it as being important, being relevant, and solving some kind of issue or problem in their life and in their world. And so this is what it means. This is what innovation means. And according to Fast Company, it's the process through which value is created. It's all about what kind of value are you offering to your customers, and it's delivered to a community of users. Who are the users of your service? And are you providing a new solution to them that's going to solve some kind of problem in their life? That's what innovation is. So let's take a look at Walmart's approach to innovation, because Walmart has been around for a number of years and they've been quite successful at holding on to their market share, although they do have a big competitor now who I happen to use just about on a daily basis, according to my husband. Every day he said there's an Amazon box on the porch. It's like, what are you doing? They've just made it so easy. But let's take a look at Walmart's approach to innovation. Their overarching question was, how do we help busy families save money? And how do we help them save time in their busy days? Now, I mentioned to you all earlier that I have 2 teenage daughters. And I also take care of my elderly parents. I run a business, and I also founded and run a nonprofit organization. So do you think I'm busy? Just a little. Just a little. I don't sleep. I'm just kidding. I don't sleep much, but yes. But I appreciate that there's a company out there thinking about how to save me time and how to save me some money. I appreciate that. And so they're constantly innovating their service delivery model to ensure that they're scaling, they're holding on to their market share, and that they're competing with those who are trying to eat their lunch. And there are many services out there and companies out there trying to eat their lunch, like door-to-door delivery and self-driving cars. They were just, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago, piloting this in Arkansas, the self-driving cars. What about order online and then pick it up at the kiosk? That's pretty convenient, and that's going to save us some time, right? Groceries delivered to your car. So you order them, and then you just pull up, and they bring everything out and put it in your car. Because one of the things I hate is having to drive over there, park in this huge parking lot, walk up to the building, walk around this huge warehouse, finding all the things I need, and then having to go through the long checkout line, take it back out to the car. That's really a waste of time, and they recognize that their customers want faster service, more efficient service. And so what about in-home delivery?
That some people, they'll bring the groceries to your house and you can let them in and they'll get the groceries up.
Yes. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not really an early adopter. I don't want people in my home when I'm not there. I prefer to bring my own groceries and products into my home and put them in my pantry and my refrigerator. How many of you would be comfortable doing that? Not many? We don't trust it yet, do we? Yes, sir?
So there's a company that, they do in-home delivery, but they have the camera set up in the house. So the owner, even if they're at work, they can watch the delivery, in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how that one works.
Okay. So you sound like you would be comfortable with
I
it.
do delivery for a living, so.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
my company does.
All right. Okay, I saw another hand. Someone else wanted to share something.
No, I just said I don't need them dropping off any energy.
Oh, okay. Yes, like I said, I'm not an early adopter, so it's going to take a little bit more piloting and me seeing other people do it. It's going to take a little bit more for me to get on board. But the point here is they're not allowing their competitors to just completely take them out. They're constantly innovating their service delivery model so that they can compete with the Amazons of the world. Buckminster Fuller said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. Build a new system that makes the existing system obsolete." Build a new system. There's a company now, HCL Technologies. They use a management practice called reverse accountability, where the employees rate their boss and their boss's boss, and all of the ratings are posted online for the entire world to see. Reverse accountability. They also, when they were ready to update their strategic plan, instead of the corporate executives coming together in a room and looking at the strategy and developing it and then disseminating it in the company, they took the corporate strategy and disseminated it to the 8,000 employees in their organization. And then they collaborated to collectively develop the new strategy for the organization.
That's good. I think that's good because a lot of people don't think about people that's underneath them that's actually doing the work.
Mhm.
Like in where I work, I don't feel like they come to us, the people that work out in the field, and see what our challenges are from day to day. They go from the top, and that's where they let it stay.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes, it is. It's a great way to engage. How much more buy-in are they now going to have from everyone in their corporation, as opposed to the traditional method of corporate executives get together, come up with the strategy and send it out. And oftentimes it never even reaches the lower levels of the workforce, and they never even know. They just show up every day doing the same thing they did before. They have another process. It's a ticketing system. Anyone at any level, if they have an issue or a complaint about a process, maybe HR is taking too long to get back to them on a problem, they can create a ticket, and it goes into this ticketing system so that, and everyone has access to it and can see that there's a complaint or there's a challenge with a particular manager or a particular department, and that ticket has to be resolved within 24 hours. If not, it gets escalated to the next higher level of management.
What company is this?
HCL Technologies. So they're doing things a little differently, and their CEO has been noted as saying to his customers and basically to the world that his employees come first and his customers come second. He said because the only way he can deliver on the services that their customers want is to make sure his employees are happy.
That's wonderful. But also, the Ritz-Carlton is one of the highest rated places to work. And one of the reasons is they do something like the
HCL Technologies?
They empower every employee from the maid all the way up to the hotel manager to make a decision when a guest approaches them.
Mm-hmm.
So if the room was bad or whatever, and customer complains to the maid or whatever, the maid could make a decision to give them a free night stay and don't have to get it approved. So they empower every employee all up with the same authority when it comes to customer.
Mm-hmm. And that's empowerment at its best. Absolutely. Yes.
But But I've also seen some of those same processes kind of backfire. To be fair, it was a situation where I used to be in healthcare management, but was a contract company, and we had a new CEO come into the hospital. I won't call out the name, but he came in with that same idea that before we put anything in, let's take it to everyone. But what he found is that people weren't filling out the surveys or giving information based on what was being put out there. It was more like any gripe or anything they've ever had in life working at this hospital. So before he could even move forward to do anything to even try to begin to fix some of the issues, like he was literally darts were being thrown at him from previous CEO or previous management or whatever the case may be. So it took about 2 years before he could even get an answer for the first survey that he sent out. Now, in his situation, he was very patient. He decided to go back to starting with the department heads, and so he did actually get rid of a lot of them who gave him resistance to trying to resolve a lot of those issues. But everybody, is not as patient as 2 years, because I've seen some CEOs come in, try to do the same thing, because surveys are so big in hospitals. And it was basically like, okay, we'll just tell people what to do, because that was kind of the mindset that if you ask people, they don't tell you what they want you to tell them what they're going to do. I'm sorry, I'm talking in circles. My head.
No, you're bringing up a great point, because Dr. Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, stated that being heard is like psychological air. We all need and want to be heard. And what that tells me is that those employees had not been heard for years. So when the opportunity was presented to them to finally be able to voice an opinion, someone's listening, are you serious? Okay, I'm gonna tell them everything that's wrong. So it's important for us as leaders to ensure that we're openly and regularly communicating with our staff. Find out, what are some of their challenge areas? What do they like about their jobs? What do they loathe about their jobs? What obstacles are they facing that you can really remove so that they can do their jobs more effectively? Those are 3 questions that they use at ADP. ADP is, of course, as you know, a huge multinational company. They require, instead of an annual performance review, they don't do those anymore. What they do is require their managers to check in with their employees on a weekly basis. And it doesn't have to be a face-to-face sit-down meeting. They said you can check in via email or a phone call, text, chat, but check in with your employees every week and ask those 3 questions. What do you love about your job? What do you loathe about your job? What obstacles can I remove to help you be more effective in your role? And so when you check in with your employees regularly like that, you're going to have your finger on the pulse of the morale, of the motivation in your organization to figure out, where are the pain points? Where do we need to make some major changes so that we're all on the same page pursuing and achieving our strategic objectives? Yes?
Well, listening to this, of course, it's no different than the way we would treat our close friends or our spouses or our children. Going back to being heard as oxygen. If we don't acknowledge someone by asking them and listening to them, then we're cutting them out of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing that constantly in our personal lives. We should do it in our professional lives as well, for the same reason.
Yes.
We care about these people, we care about their contribution to our lives, and ultimately we care about their ideas as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yes, what you just said is key. Caring about them as humans who think enough of you and your company to show up every day. HR departments are moving more now towards creating an employee experience. In fact, I just hosted and facilitated a webinar yesterday, and there were 150 people on it because we were talking about how to use the design thinking process in HR to create solutions for employees that would engage them even more and give them an exceptional employee experience. Because with the unemployment rate being as low as it is, at the end of September, there were 7 million open jobs in the United States. So we're all competing for the same talent. And if we're not offering an exceptional employee experience, then we're going to have a revolving door where you're constantly having to hire and train. And then because they're not happy with the work environment, they're leaving. And they're going across the street to your competitor because they're offering a higher quality employee experience. So pay attention, seek that information from your employees and find out what their needs are and genuinely care about meeting those needs. And we're going to talk more about how you can do that. Yes?
How many people do you think you could, employees talk to on a weekly basis? I feel like there's got to be a limiting factor of how many people can I really hear before, I've spent all my time listening to gripes and complaints and not having any time to do anything actionable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, what runs through my mind is, I got 20 employees and I have to talk to each of them every week, and then it's, even if it's only a 20-minute conversation, I'm not good at math, but that's several hours.
Yes, and it may not even be a 20-minute conversation. Initially it may be, but because they're going to recognize this is not my only opportunity to talk to my manager, he's going to have the same conversation with me again next week and the following week and the following week. So I don't have to air all of my complaints today because I know I'm going to have a chance to talk to him next week. So I think initially it may be a 20-minute conversation, but I think over time that duration of that conversation may be reduced because they see and they understand they're going to have multiple opportunities to have that kind of conversation with you. Now, on the flip side of that, you really have to start where it's feasible for you to start. You may not be in a position today to check in on a weekly basis with your employees. Maybe you start doing it every other week or monthly. Figure out what's feasible and reasonable for you today and then work from there and try to improve it. Sir, did you have your hand raised?
Well, no, I was responding the same way, the same exact thing you said.
Okay.
It's just the consistency of it shouldn't take long if they know they have a chance.
Yes, that you're accessible, and that's really all they want, is to know that when I have a problem or an idea, I can really go talk to him or to her.
It's the old management or walking around principle,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
accessible, available,
Yes,
kind of on-site with insight.
right, exactly. So you have to figure out what's reasonable and feasible for your business model and then start from there.
Because I did that for a while with a construction company when we were smaller, probably 6 field employees down, where I talked to everybody almost weekly, just when I went to a job site or called on the phone. And I found it started to backfire because I had that open door policy. Especially in the construction world, there's a little bit more of a nefarious element where they would, because they had their direct access to me, and everybody knew it, they would say, well, Matt said, and then conniving people use that as it created an atmosphere where dishonesty could blossom.
Mm.
So then what I ended up having to do was, hey, that question needs to go through the operations manager, and made it really clear that I didn't state that, but it just created a lot of confusion because everybody could talk to anybody at any level, and I found, because I loved the theory behind it, and I did have a great sense of what was going on, and I realized it was chaos, what was going on, but people appreciated working for us. When I started doing that, the amount of employees that stayed with us long term went
Mhm.
up,
Mhm.
but our productivity didn't really go up. So with that real world experience, do you have any insight on how do you juggle an open door policy with limitations?
Right, and so again, you have to figure out what works for your culture. And if you cannot, and you've tried the one-on-one communication, what about a group communication? So maybe department by department, they know every Monday you're going to stop by their department meeting, their team meeting, and check in and see how things are going as a group. That way it saves you more time, and you're communicating your message to a group. So everyone heard Matt say, so they can't go around individually and say, well, he said this and he said that, because you're communicating to a group. I have had the great fortune of speaking to a lot of audiences in different industries. And typically when I go into an organization, I start off by doing an organizational analysis to see what's really going on. Because when I talk to the president or to the CEO, they tell me one thing. But when I go out and talk to the employees one-on-one or in focus groups, I find out that there are so many other things going on from their perspective than what the president or the CEO even knows about. So every organization that I have conducted an organizational analysis in, what I have found is that communication is always in the top 3 issues within an organization. So if we can figure out how to communicate more effectively, more routinely, so that everyone has the same information that's pertinent to them at the same time, we would solve a lot of our organizational performance issues, because communication happens to be a major obstacle in a lot of organizations. So one of our innovation questions needs to be, how might we improve communication in our organization? And speaking of that, here are the 5 most innovative companies in 2018 according to Fast Company. Do you recognize these logos down here? Yes. How have they made the old systems obsolete by creating something totally new? What about this one? Yes.
Well, Square empowered small businesses to be mobile and take transactions anywhere, and then they keep innovating by adding more and more like accounting type services. So the small business owner can really operate, track, and do that.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically remember my 9-year-old ordering our first Square card reader so he could take credit cards at festivals.
Yes.
And so they've been with us ever since, so probably the most innovative.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Any others? What do you think?
I have a question. Apple, their past innovation is phenomenal, but I would say they're not. 2018, they put out a credit card. That's not innovative.
Well, I'm not sure who authored this in Fast Company. You might want to, challenge them on that. But, they really did, like you said, decades ago, they made a system obsolete. And it was an unarticulated need because we didn't know at the time that we wanted a singular device that would allow us to talk, text, listen to music, surf, FaceTime, just all of the different things that it can do. But now we all have one. How many of you have a smartphone? Yes, we all have one. And we didn't really know decades ago that we needed or we wanted a device like that. So, and then Amazon, as I have mentioned, happens to be, I really should have stock in Amazon because I'm one of the biggest supporters since I have an Amazon box on my front porch every single day. But again, and an example is just a week or so ago, I went into TJ Maxx because I happen to have a moderate addiction to ginger candy. And I can only find it at TJ Maxx. And so I went inside it. I usually go on Fridays because that's my weekend splurge. I'm going to just spend all weekend on, nibbling on my ginger candy. So I usually go on Friday afternoons. And yes, I will stand in that very long line in TJ Maxx just so I can get up to the counter, get my 2 or 3 bags of ginger candy, check out and leave. Well, a couple of Fridays ago, I walked all around TJ Maxx and could not find my mango and orange ginger candy. And I was so upset. I went up to one of the customer service people. I was like, where's the candy? Where's the ginger candy? And they said, oh, go look on this side of the store. Go look in this section. Go look in that. And I'm running all over TJ Maxx trying to find my ginger candy. Came back up to the register and she said, well, I guess we don't have any. Like, what? You're really going to ruin my weekend by not having ginger candy after I have driven over here. I've spent the last 20 minutes walking around your store, following your instructions to go to these different sections to find my ginger candy, for you to ultimately tell me you don't have it. Now I've got to walk all the way back out in your parking lot to my truck without what I came for, drive back home disappointed. So I went back to my truck, pulled out my phone, went to Amazon. They had every flavor. I could have gotten a multi-pack, I mean just 50, 100 piece pack. I ordered it, and within 2 days, guess what I had? More ginger candy than I can ever eat. I'm giving it away to people now. But you see how convenient that was? With one click, I was able to save time. I was able to save money because I'm ordering it in volume now. And it was so much more convenient. They made a system obsolete. So, yes.
Is that what you got in the other bag?
No, I'm sorry. I may have some in the bottom of my purse because today is Tuesday, and I told you I only go on Fridays. But yes, I have lots of it at home.
Amazon now also, if you live in an area where your packages are being stolen, so they've come up with an innovative solution to that. You can have your package delivered to an Amazon station, and you go pick it up.
Yes.
That's especially around the holiday time, they have a lot of those set up, so people can stop stealing people's
Yes,
packages.
exactly.
And Netflix became innovative because of making their movies.
Mm-hmm.
They now make their own streaming movies
Right.
specific to just.
Interesting watching Netflix to see what they do, because they were so innovative. Everybody's all in the business now. I mean, Disney launched.
Mm-hmm.
We canceled Netflix this past week.
Oh, wow.
Because Disney got
Disney, yes. I heard about the volume the first hour that the service was available. It was incredible. Oh, see?
And it's free.
Did they take their movies off of Netflix? So they took all the Disney off.
Oh, wow. The competition is fierce.
Especially
Yes.
if you got little kids.
Mhm.
You're going to where the Disney movies are.
Disney was dirty about it. Here, Netflix, why don't you take this and get everybody hooked? They snatch it back. Can't get it fixed now.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so what are some of the barriers to innovation? What barriers do you face when you're trying to innovate in your company? Yes.
The unknown. It's trial and error a lot of times.
Oh.
If you're trailblazing, you're creating a new path that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that unknown can be a little scary, and it's vulnerable, putting something new out there. Okay. So the unknown, yes.
Trying to educate the consumer or the customer.
Right. Trying to convince them of the worth and the value that that product or service is going to create. Okay.
The attitude of good enough.
The attitude, yes. Some people are satisfied with the status quo. Why should we change? Business is great. But what we know is someone is out there studying your business model and figuring out how they can compete with you. So we can never really get satisfied where we are. We have to continuously disrupt our own business, disrupt our own service, because if we don't do it ourselves, someone else is going to do it for us.
I'd say time. It takes time to innovate, and especially being a small business, folks, where you say yourself, you get a little bit of sleep.
Yeah.
You're full tilt. How do you find time to come up with, okay, what am I going to do different?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it can be time consuming. Yes. Cost, for sure. Yes.
Then you gotta develop your process so it's scalable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have scaling in mind, whatever process you do at a micro level, you gotta kind of halfway develop them so the process can scale
Right.
along with the growth. And so that takes a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of money.
Yes, it does. And so here are some of the barriers to innovation in large companies, and I want to see, do you face any of these in your company? Politics may not be as relevant. I've worked with a lot of companies, and certainly politics can come in and shift everything. And as one of my mentors says, wherever you have people, you have politics. So just keep that in mind. What about cultural issues?
That's a big one, especially in today's
Right, and it goes hand in hand with what you said, sir, about educating your consumer and making sure that they see the value in using it, cultural as well as generational. You know, what is it going to take for TikTok to attract the older crowd that's already stuck with and comfortable with Facebook? So how do you educate them and help them see the value of this new service? Yes.
I was thinking about cultural issues when I saw it on the form, and I'm a therapist, and, trying to get more African Americans and other people of color into therapy, that's a cultural issue in and of itself, because traditionally that is not our stream of, I guess, comfort or. And then when you brought up generational, so I have more younger people who are, they're very therapy conscious. I'm not a young person. So trying to communicate with them who are, they are very gung-ho about therapy. Yes, we need this. People my age group and higher, not so much. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. Like, I get the younger crowd in, but I don't know, like TikTok and, they talking about all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what's that? So I'm spending like half the session just they're educating me on stuff, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is how I can help you. So it's kind of, it's a lot of different variables in there.
Yes, definitely. And like I said, I think it goes hand in hand with educating your consumer, helping the older generation of that population understand the value of therapy. What about the lack of budget? Someone said that. Yes. Okay, it takes money. Yes, it takes money to make money. Lack of a strategy or a vision for how you want to grow, how you want to scale, how you want to innovate, and not really being agile, not adopting emerging technologies. I came from the world of higher education, and we almost got our lunch eaten by Udemy and Coursera, because they were offering these massive open online courses, and everyone was able to start taking college courses without enrolling in a degree program. And the University System of Georgia was actually behind the curve on that. Fortunately, Georgia Tech stepped up and really created a program, a degree program, really quickly that could compete with the MOOCs, as they call them. And so you have to have a knowledge and awareness of those emerging technologies, and constantly thinking about how you might integrate that into your business so that you can keep pace with your competitors. Okay, what about the lack of executive support? You are the executives, okay? So you have to be willing to invest the time, and you have to be patient with the process, and you have to constantly learn how you might continuously innovate. And I'm going to show you a process for doing that today as well. Okay, so this might be a great place to take a break, okay? We're going to take a break for 5-minute break, and we'll come right back. So enjoy your break.